Hi. So, if you're in your 20s, chances are that you have already felt profound loneliness at some point. But we don't talk about it enough. Here are my 3.5 reasons why The Lonely City is a must read non-fiction for our generation. Point number 1. This is one of very few works that explore loneliness with a clinical sincerity. Laing mentioned in the book, there are more songwriters who have talked about loneliness than psychologists or social scientists. Now, loneliness is a feeling that you must have come across, maybe when you left home for studies or when you changed your job. Suddenly, you are alone. Suddenly, you were by yourself in the whole wide world. It's a feeling that we all know, but don't really understand. Olivia Laing talks about the shame that is associated with experiencing loneliness, which is so real. If someone confesses that they feel lonely, they might come across someone who's trying to seek attention, or even worse, demanding pity. And how is one supposed to talk about it or seek help? That brings me to my point number 2. On one side, the book can be seen as a collection of essays written on artists who are working in 60s and 70s in New York, and component of loneliness in their work. But on the other side, it's also a memoir. Laing moved to New York for a lover who then left her, turning the world's most happening city into a desert of loneliness. She uses the pain in the works of art that she studies to explore her own pain. It shows us that we must keep going, even through pain, because most often than not, we might find something beautiful on the other side. Loneliness is an authentic human feeling, much like other feelings, and so it has a value to it. Instead of running away from that uncomfortable feeling, The Lonely City challenges us to feel it, to look at it, to learn from it, and maybe, just maybe, find something beautiful in it. You don't have much of a choice, to be honest, because even if you try and seek for help, you most probably won't get any help. That brings me to my third point now. I know it sounds pessimistic, but hear me out. You might think, okay, someone is lonely. Maybe they are in a new space. They should just simply try to go out and make new friends, right? Simple. Wrong. If you come across as a lonely person, desperate, seeking new connections, and you're more likely to have an unfavorable impression on the person that you're trying to get close to. Olivia elaborates on social scientist Robert Wies's observation that loneliness inhibits empathy. Try to remember the time when someone tried to approach you in public to start a conversation and you felt irritated. It has happened with everybody. Now, that doesn't make you a bad person, but it is a truth that there is an uneasiness associated with loneliness. And that is why sensitive works like The Lonely City are important, because at least we need to start the discourse. Now, the fourth point. I know in the beginning I said 3, but this one is my personal absolute favorite. Laing writes about many artists in the book. Edward Hopper, Henry Warhol, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Klaus Nomi. But out of all of them, my biggest win was getting to know Henry Darger. Now, unless you are a big visual art nerd, you might not have heard his name. Henry Darger, a self-taught outlier of an artist, worked as a janitor all his life, never got any education. It was only after he moved out of his rented apartment due to bad health, after decades and decades of living there, that his tenants and his neighbors found out his artwork. 300 paintings and thousands of pages of written material. He created an imaginary world which he named the realm of the unreal, place of perpetual civil war, which is being fought against slavery, and the slaves are children. Many critics have found his work problematic because of the extent of violence and sexually explicit nature of his work. He has been accused of being a pedophile, diagnosed as autistic and schizophrenic through his works. And it's a common consensus that he most probably was mentally ill. But hear me out. His belief in the world that he created is astounding. In his diary, he negotiates with God, threatening with consequences in the realms of the unreal if his demands are not met. I will read one such thread. Right. Graham's bank went to smash. Great sums of saving lost or threatening to be lost. Loss inescapable. Either Vivian girls or Christian nations shall suffer if money is not returned within January 1, 1919. No mercy will be shown. That's his threat to God. Daja created a whole world, not for fame, not for critiques, but just to purely live in it. Who is to say that the world you create inside your head is any less real than the messy world outside? It's a very bittersweet and powerful question that arises in your head when you read about Daja. How often do we do a thing for its own sake? Daja was not painting to become a painter or writing to become an artist. He told not one soul about his mammoth of work. Olivia Laing's take on Daja is very empathetic. I will read from book. You need to listen to this. 171. Was God watching? How could he look away? But perhaps he didn't existed at all, or was already dead. A nightmarish, blasphemous thought that Daja had one of the pious Vivian girls put into words, sobbing over the desolating notion of arriving to an empty heaven, of inhabiting a universe devoid of other beings. If there was no God, then Daja really was completely alone. This idea of being broken, being in a space of pain, and yet being capable of creating beauty is the major takeaway from this account for me. If you resonate with this idea, you would love On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I talk about that book in the next video. So that was it about The Lonely City. Adventures in Art of Being Alone. The later part of the title summarizes it. Book takes loneliness as an adventure and reminds you that not all adventure are meant to be happy. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to turn your experience into art or else it's not worthwhile. It just means that you need not to be ashamed of experiencing it or try to forget the discomfort. It's a feeling that humans have felt since eternity and will keep feeling till the end of our existence. You are not alone in your experience of loneliness. That was it. Thank you for watching.